Most cases don't lose because they wrong. They actually lose simply because they never make it past the starting lines. And that's as simply as that. Now, if you ever wonder how someone can be telling the honest to God truth and still get their case dismissed, this video is exactly for you. Now, I'm Jordan Dublin. Most of you guys know me as Mr. Run the Play. If you guys don't understand how the actual course thing, then you're already out of the game. And in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be breaking down real-time case law, federal case laws, that's going to show you guys exactly what happens when a motion 12 to dismiss actually gets filed under the Rule 12. Now, this case that we're going to go over today is Johnson versus Equifax. Now, in this case, this is a case where a consumer, they actually sued multiple consumer reporting agencies, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, because they actually believe that there was real harm done. They also sued the actual furnisher. Now, they actually attached documents in this case, but the case still got dismissed. Now, why does that matter? It's not because of the actual story that it didn't. It's not because the damage wasn't real. It's simply because the courts never actually reached that evidence. Now, this is exactly how disputes are initiated, how inaccuracies are identified, and how things are actually framed before the courts even give their determination, because the foundation isn't there and the claim doesn't survive. And this is the part that most people miss. Before the courts ever even look at any evidence, before they even care about any documents, or before they even care about damages, they look at whether the claim actually even belongs in the court in the first place. If that threshold right there alone isn't even met, nothing else even is going to matter. Now let's go ahead and walk through what the courts actually said. Now listen, imagine joining my group with a 488, y'all. Listen, you can't get approved for nothing. Not no car, not no house. Man, listen, no new business investments. You can't do anything. Listen, but then boom, you get access to my 800 credit course. Literally, my credit justice BLT method. You go up 224 points. Literally, it's July. And now you got in position for you to be able to go get access to the funding that you need, for you to be access to get that new car that you're looking for that new home that you're looking for, any new investments that you're looking to go into. So what do you think you should do? Let me tell you, go ahead and click the link down below, right? If you're someone, all right, y'all. Now this case comes from out of Pennsylvania, and it comes in 2023. Now we already reviewed of what this case is, the overlay of this case, and it's where a consumer feels as though she was wrongfully done, and the the consumer reporting agencies violated the FCRAs, and she also feels as though the furnisher did as well. Now we're gonna break down this thing, this whole entire case, but we're not gonna go line by line. Okay, if you guys want to review this, I'll leave a link in my description for you guys to be able to go ahead and grab this case, for you guys to review it and get an outline, a better description for you guys to be able to understand and draw that reasonable inference. Now, Johnson, she alleges that she signs a written dispute on January 2023, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. As a consumer, we all should be aware at this point that you can only sue or file a claim underneath the FCRA, at least, underneath 1681EB and 1681S2B, which 1681EB is the maximum accuracy and 1681S2B is the responsibility of the furnisher. Now, those are the only two claims that underneath the FCRA that gives you plausibility for you to be able to state a claim that can draw that reasonable inference. Now, after reviewing this case, you guys are going to be able to understand, and you should be able to understand exactly what the courts are stating. The courts are telling you exactly what she did do right, correctly, what she should have done correctly, and what she needs to do. And they've also given her a chance in this same token to be able to cure the deficiencies. Even though the case was dismissed without prejudice, she still has a chance to cure the deficiencies and be able to get the case reinstated. Now, let's see what the judges, or let's see what this case is all the way about. Now, it says, while Johnson appears to have highlighted the purported inaccurate information, she does not specifically state how the information is inaccurate. So, additionally, Johnson attached to her complaint a letter to Mariner Finance informing it that it is currently reporting to Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion underneath her name, but she doesn't state exactly what the negative information is, which is a big problem. Now, Johnson requested the information regarding the account at issue and demanded that the negative mark be deleted if she was not provided with the information. According to Johnson, due to the defendant's conduct, she has suffered personal and financial damages, including the denial of credit from multiple lenders. Johnson attached as an exhibit to her complaint a letter from Chase reflecting that her credit application was denied due to the negative information on her report. Now, let's see what the courts have to say when it comes to stating the claim and the plausibility. The plausibility has to draw the reasonable inference on his face. So the courts say right here, Johnson is incapable of paying the actual filing fees, okay, in this action, and they go ahead and grant it for him. They say that the court is required to dismiss the complaint if it fails to state a claim. The courts must demonstrate whether a complaint contains sufficient factual matters accepted as true to state a claim to the relief that is plausible on its face. You guys can refer back to Ashcroft versus Ichabod. In this case right here, it also talks about at an early pleading stage in any litigation, of course, they will accept the factual allegations for all pro se's in the complaint as true, as long as it draws a reasonable inference that in the plaintiff's favor, meaning that it has to show that the defendant was actually for the violation. Now, because Johnson is proceeding as a pro se, the courts construed that the allegations of the complaint were liberally. And that all it means is that they took everything that she said and they accepted it as true. But she did not support the claims. That's the main thing. Even though you could state all of the inaccuracy, you could state all of the things that happened wrong, but you still must allege the sufficient facts in the complaint that support your actual claims regarding the FCRA to ensure that their plausibility is on its face.
Yo, what's up, y'all? My name is Ali. I've been in Jordan's program for probably about a year now, almost. So far, since I've been in the program, I got 4 collections removed from my credit report. I got 3 collections removed off my dad's credit report, and I was able to get off check systems, and I was able to get a $50,000 Chase Business Inc. credit card. So I highly recommend the program. I got 1 more late payment to get off my dad's credit report, and then we're going to start getting him some funding. Right now, I just joined the 10K program. So my goal in the business is to create my own business by suing the debt collectors. So shout out to Jordan. I highly recommend the program. Check it out.
Now, let's go to the discussion, because in the discussion, it tells us exactly what the Consumer Reporting Agency's jobs are. It tells us what the furnisher jobs are. And it also tells us exactly what was supposed to be done. Okay, so let's review it. Consumer reporting agencies are required to follow reasonable procedures to assure maximum possible accuracy of the information concerning the individual about whom the report relates. Okay, 1681EB. To state a claim under this section, a plaintiff must plead the following elements. Number 1, inaccurate information was included into on the actual credit report. Number 2, the inaccuracy was due to the Consumer Reporting Agency's failure to actually follow the reasonable procedures to ensure the maximum possible accuracy. Number 3, the consumer suffered from any type of injury. And number 4, the injury was caused, in fact, by the inclusion of the inaccurate entry. So the inaccurate information you have to draw that reasonable conclusion and make sure that you hit all of those key elements. Okay. Now, the FCRA provides civil liability for noncompliance due to willfulness and negligence, 15 U.S. Code 1681N, creating a liability for willful noncompliance with any portion of this act, okay? And then 1681O is civil liabilities for negligence. If you put them on notice and they chose to not conduct a reasonable investigation, that's where your negligence comes in and your willful noncompliance. And then we have these case laws like Cortez versus TransUnion or Bibbs versus TransUnion that we'll be able to cite. Now, the FCRA also confers that confers on a consumer a right to have the negative information on his file or her file of the credit report be investigated of the accuracy. So anything that you do dispute, if let's say you send in a dispute to TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, you say, hey, well, this Mariner account was inaccurate because maybe it was reporting inaccurate late payments. It could be reporting an inaccurate collection, charge off, bankruptcy. I'm not sure, but we have to state that. And that's in regards for us to properly be able to seek our claim, but not only just seek our claim, we have to trigger that reinvestigation, a reasonable reinvestigation, according to 1681 IA, okay, which is the description of accuracy when it comes to disputing procedures. Now, accordingly to proceed under either 1681EB or 1681I, a plaintiff must show that the reported information was in fact inaccurate. To prevail under 1681EB claim or 81IA claim, the plaintiffs must show that the credit report contains the inaccurate information. So that means you guys need to ensure that you have your before and your after when it comes to your credit report, showing that the inaccurate information was in fact on that report, and then showing that it was in fact removed from that report in order for you guys to state the plausibility. Now, it also says under 1681EB, the claims under 81I will fail if the consumer cannot show that the important information is in his or her credit file wasn't accurate, okay? So if you cannot show it, then that means you guys are going to be wasting your time trying to seek a claim. The information is technically accurate, but materially misleading is sufficient to trigger. So as long as you guys state to them that the information is materially misleading, you guys can trigger the CRAs to conduct that reasonable investigation, meaning they have to reach out to Mariner Finance, or in another case, wherever you guys are fighting, whoever the creditor or the furnisher of that inaccurate information is. They have to reach out to them and conduct a reasonable investigation, but you need to make sure that you request that. Additionally, the agency may terminate a reinvestigation of the information disputed by a consumer if the agency's reasonably determines that the dispute by the consumer was frivolous or irrelevant, including by reason of a failure by the consumer to provide sufficient information to investigate the disputed information. Now, a lot of us receive stall tactics. A lot of you guys have received stall tactics previously, and I'll just briefly pinpoint on this. I have another video. I'll drop a link underneath this video for you guys to go back and refer to that, so you guys can clearly see exactly in which the information you need to trigger the reinvestigation. Everybody should be aware that a consumer's job is only to notify the consumer reporting agencies, okay? Your job as a consumer is to ensure that you check the complete accuracy of your report and make sure that any inaccuracy on that report is properly disputed. But in order for you to do that, you must, for one, send in your proof of identification. Send in a proof of your utility bill within the last 30 days, 30 to 60 days. Also, make sure you send a copy of your social security card so that you guys don't have anything to worry about when it comes to submitting sufficient information. That means I'm sending all the information that's governing who I am for you to properly be able to identify who I am, for you to update this report properly. Quick pause, just as a reminder, if you're still watching this video, then that means you're clearly serious about getting things right. And some of you might also need a little bit of cash right now. And if that's you, here's a free option for you guys that you guys can actually use today. There's an app called Free Cash. You can download it, you complete this simple task on your phone, and you can simply cash out. There's absolutely no credit check, no upfront cost, no long setup. And listen, if you use my link down on the screen right here, you'll be able to get access to an extra $5 bonus when you automatically sign up. If you skipped this earlier, this is your second chance. The link is right here down below. Use this code and go ahead and grab your bonus. All right, y'all, let's keep going. Now, to state the plausibility under the FCRA against a furnisher of the information, of the credit information as opposed to the consumer reporting agencies itself. Okay, so this is a little bit different than what the CRA's job is. Okay, so these are how to actually state the plausible claim under the FCRA against the furnisher, who would be Mariner Finance in this case. Okay, a plaintiff must allege that she filed a notice of dispute with the consumer reporting agencies, meaning TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. She needs to allege that she literally sent that dispute to them. Okay, the consumer reporting agencies notified the furnisher of that information, of the disputed information. So that means when they send you a response back and they tell you that they reached out to the furnisher, that is what they're asking you guys for. Okay, boom. The furnisher of the information failed to investigate or modify the inaccurate information. Well, if you sent in your round one the exact inaccuracies, whether it was a late payment, whether it was a charge off, whether it was collection, and you're requesting these actual documents pursuant to those laws, then you can prove that there was not a real investigation actually conducted and they actually failed to modify or actually investigate the inaccurate information. But like I said, it all starts from the beginning. You can't just walk into a courtroom and think that you're just going to plead all of your whole story and then they're going to draw that reasonable inference. You have to do it properly and you have to do it procedurally. Okay. Now, also in 15 U.S. Code 1681 S2B, when a furnisher receives the notice from the consumer reporting agency regarding the completeness or accuracy of the information provided by the furnisher, then the furnisher's duty to conduct the investigation with respect to the disputed information is in fact triggered. Okay? If the furnisher fails to comply with its obligation underneath the act, the consumer can then sue for noncompliance, y'all. So it tells us that you can sue if they do not conduct a reasonable investigation, but you need to show its plausibility on its face. And it's clearly telling you, in fact, everything that you guys need to include inside of your actual complaints. Now, also, it says the FCRA has several provisions that create liability for violations of this act. However, the FCRA 1681 S2B is the only section that can be enforced by a private citizen seeking to recover damages caused by the furnisher's information. That means you cannot go into a court and try to seek damages for willful noncompliance under 1681N. Your claim needs to be on its face, and it's clearly telling you that 15 U.S. Code 1681 S2B is the only section where you guys can enforce that private action to seek you guys' recovery from the actual furnisher. So it says Johnson's complaint does not indicate which sections from the FCRA she bases her actual claims on. Okay, even liberally construing the actual complaint, Johnson has not pled the plausible claim against the named defendant with regards to her claims against the consumer reporting agency. Johnson has not alleged the necessary factual information required to actually show the statutory violation actually occurred. As noted above, Johnson attached her actual complaint letters. They were issued to Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, in which she did let them know that the defendant, Mariner Financing, was reporting inaccurate information. She did do that correctly, okay? And requested the actual removal of the information. But this is the thing. While Johnson appears to indicate that there is inaccurate information on her report, she does not specify how the information is actually inaccurate. Now, Johnson thus has not sufficiently set forth the facts describing what inaccurate information she believed in fact was inaccurate that was included on her actual report. And clearly, she did not explain why the information was inaccurate, which led for them to dismiss this case. Now, it also says the plaintiff failed to state the FCRA claim that she had not, for one, identified the accounts at issue. Number two, describe the alleged false or misleading information that appeared in the accounts. Number three, she did not state that she filed a dispute regarding the false or misleading information. And number four, she did not allege that Capital One failed to actually reinvestigate or modify the actual inaccurate information. Now, this is coming from this case right here, Presley versus Capital One, but these are the actual factors in which you must plead. And this is all it is. It's just basically anytime you see case laws right after in parentheses like this, it's telling you what you're supposed to properly plead in order for you to not get your case thrown out. Allegations that the defendant failed to fully or properly investigate the matter were conclusatory and did not actually state the actual claim, because it's more like she got to the conclusion of what happened without actually telling how it affected her, how it actually caused her harm, how did it actually affect her, what ways did it affect her. You have to draw that reasonable inference in order for them to be able to make it that the defendant was actually liable. Now, dismissing 81EB claim because the plaintiff failed to actually plead any inaccuracies, and they have a case law. Now, it says the plaintiff never clearly disputed the accuracy of the information included on the actual credit report. It was vague. So it was just basically saying that she didn't actually dispute what was actually wrong on the report. She just said, hey, this is inaccurate. That's basically what I caught from this, which is what the courts actually caught from this. The courts will not actually speculate as to Johnson's claim based on the attachments to her actual complaint. Indeed, a plaintiff may not state a claim by relying solely on exhibits. Someone who has been struggling to delete negative items from your credit, I've been able to help my client be able to remove negative items from his credit report and also get him a 55-point increase, okay, positioning him to the 700 credit scores. Now, we removed all the collections on his account and all of the hard inquiries that were not attached to any open accounts. Not only that, within the next 45 days, we were able to get another 48-point increase. Listen, pay attention to the dates, guys. Now he was positioning himself to the 755. If you're a person who wanted to delete negative items, listen, I just dropped my credit justice BLT method. Listen, down below, click the link down below right now, and you can get access right now. For the next 10 people, I'm gonna drop the price from $9.97 down to $99. So listen, if you're a person who wants to delete negative items and you're looking for help and personalized guidance, go ahead and click the link now. I see you inside. Let's get it. Let's go. Okay, so you guys cannot just go and fill the court up with a whole bunch of exhibits saying, "Hey, I sent out this dispute to him. Hey, I applied for credit and I got denied." That's not the way to properly do it. And you can't do that just all through exhibits. Merely attaching exhibits is not sufficient to meet the requirements that a complaint must contain sufficient factual matters accepted as true to actually state a claim for the relief that is plausible on its actual face. To the extent that Johnson seeks to present these actual claims against Mariner Finance as an actual furnisher of the information, her allegations are undeveloped. It's because she did not properly plead or draw that reasonable inference. She did not state the plausibility. While the exhibits attached to Johnson's complaints suggested that she notified the consumer reporting agencies and that Mariner Finance of allegedly inaccurate information, Johnson has not alleged that Mariner Finance failed to correct the inaccurate information after receiving the notice from the consumer reporting agencies. So, meaning, when you guys are stating and you guys are saying, hey, I notified TransUnion, Equifax, and TransUnion, well, we all are aware that the FCRA gives them 30 days. Within that 30 days, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian are supposed to, by law, as we just read, they're supposed to conduct that reasonable investigation, meaning sending all of your supporting documentation and disputes that you guys are sending in directly to that actual furnisher of that information. When you guys dispute that information, when you guys submit a CFPB, when you guys get a correspondence or a response back, and in your response is stating that, hey, we got the information or we got this disputed information from the consumer reporting agencies, that's all you guys need. But you guys also need to actually state that when you guys are trying to draw that reasonable inference and making sure that plausibility falls on its actual face. If you're someone who has been struggling to delete negative items from your credit, I've been able to help my client be able to remove negative items from his credit report and also get him a 55-point increase, okay, positioning him to the 700 credit scores. Now, we removed all the collections on his account and all of the hard inquiries that were not attached to any open accounts. Not only that, within the next 45 days, we were able to get another 48-point increase. Listen, pay attention to the dates, guys. Now he was positioning himself to the 755. If you're a person who wanting to delete negative items, listen, I just dropped my credit justice BLT method. Listen, down below, click the link down below right now, and you can get access right now. For the next 10 people, I'm gonna drop the price from $9.97 down to $99. So listen, if you're a person who wants to delete negative items and you're looking for help and personalized guidance, go ahead and click the link now. I'll see you on the inside. Let's get it. Let's go. Now, let's jump down to the conclusion because we already know what exactly they're looking for and now how to actually properly plead this case. It says, for the conclusion, explaining in an amended complaint, because if you guys remember at the beginning, the courts actually gave Johnson a chance to actually cure the deficiencies in the beginning. So this is her chance to actually get the case back reinserted and her to actually be able to seek her actual claim. Now, we don't know whether she did or not, and that's neither here or there. But she needs to explain inside of her amended claim the who, what, when, where, and how, and why of her claim. And if you guys go back and pull this case and you guys watch this again, you guys will understand what exactly she should have properly pled. Now, I hope this video was actually helpful for you guys to show you guys exactly what you guys should actually plead when it comes to an FCRA claim. You guys must, this is not a if, this is not a I want to, you guys must show who, what, when, where, how, and why of that actual complaint, and ensure that you guys also draw that reasonable inference in which the courts can find the actual defendant liable. Okay. Now, if you guys want to go back to this case, like I said in the beginning, this is Johnson versus Equifax, and this is, you can find this in Pennsylvania's district, and it was 2023. I hope this video helped you guys, and I hope you guys actually are understanding now how to actually plead your case with that plausibility. And just to make this clear, I really want to be very firm. This is a great case, and it shows you exactly why and what the courts actually are looking for them to be able to draw that reasonable inference.